What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to the Let's Build the U.S.S. Voyager Season 1, Episode 40. I'm Zero Elite, and I just want to thank you very much for tuning in today's episode. And if you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and helping me in supporting the channel. Today we're going to be picking up our work where we left off in Episode 39. As you can see, I have completed our step from where we left off the last episode. I deleted all the access for the front area that we trimmed off from the pylon, and I've closed in the front of it just how what we had before. So literally all we did was we shaved off a little bit and just rebuilt literally what we had just a few blocks back. So now let's go ahead, kick back, relax, and we're just going to jump right into it. Today we're just going to be focusing on the engines, trying to get as much work done on the engines as we possibly can. So I did talk about this when we did the shell for the engines, that you'd want to make sure not to do them past this point right here, because I was going to be redoing it. If you've done that, cool, because then you should have this frame like we have it right now. If you haven't, then you want to go ahead and go back and delete your top and bottom, but making sure not to delete the wire frame that's going along right here, and then the end. Very important we keep that in play. Yeah, today we're really going to be rocking and rolling, trying to get a lot of the engine work done, so that this way we can move on to other areas on the ship. We're not doing anything crazy right now, we're just following our cut line on the back end of the engines. So I say such a good thing with having your cut lines as your template, because it really helps to guide you in the direction that you need to go into. But the reasons that I cut off, or I took out the actual hull for the engines, is because it was a little bit too thick. I want to make it a little bit thinner. I'm not going to lie, even where the engines end up, like where I had on my tour episode, I still feel like my engines might be like a hair too big, but I was happy enough with them that, you know, like I could walk away from it and just move on to something else. But don't be surprised if in Season 2, if that's something that we might address. I don't know. I'll have to see how I feel when that happens. I'll be honest, Season 2 isn't something that I'm looking to do right now at the moment. We are going to 110% do that for Voyager. I've had a lot of positive feedback from Season 1. People want to see the interior, and I think that's awesome. So I think what's going to happen is that once we're done with Season 1, we're going to hop into the Excelsior 2 class doing the exterior, and then we'll have to see where we land after that, because it's very possible that by the time the Excelsior 2 class starts, or by the time we're finished with it, that we might be approaching that 1,000 subscriber mark. So I'm going to have to do or start putting episodes out for the Enterprise A 2.0. That'll be in a put it this way: whenever we hit 1,000 subscribers, whatever tutorial I have going at the time, I'll be putting out the Enterprise A 2.0 in addition to that. It's going to be a ton of work on my end, but I'm going to figure out a way to make it work. But after that, I'm not sure what my next build after the Excelsior is going to be. I have some ideas. Those of you that are on my Discord know, have probably seen the concept art that I did for the Constitution 3 class. Trying to kind of just slightly rework it, to make it feel like it was an actual Next Generation era ship instead of a Shatner era ship. We'll get into that more at a later date, because I don't know if the Constitution Class 3 is going to be my next build following Excelsior. We'll have to just see where we land on that. But, you know, with that being said, I still need build ideas. So if there's any builds that you guys want to see, be sure to drop a comment below. Definitely love hearing from everybody. You can also go on the Discord and go under build suggestions, so this way you can drop your suggestion. Just do me a favor, just don't reach out to me personally and be like, hey, I need you to build this, because Gotta understand, this is something I do by myself in my spare time. I'm not looking to hire on other people or start a server or anything like that. I just do it because I enjoy doing it. So that's why I get the community involved and let them upvote builds that they want to see, because it makes it a little bit easier on me, so that this way I can get a good gauge as far as what builds the community wants to see. But yeah, you know, there's a lot of cool stuff that's going to be coming up on the channel in the future. Got a lot of builds planned, but still I need ideas, so if you guys do have any suggestions, let me know. Really what I need more small build ideas. I haven't had too many people drop in with ideas. I've had a few, and the ones that have dropped comments suggesting that stuff, I really appreciate it. Because what I really want to do, in addition to having these main tutorials, is to have smaller builds that I can do. I still have to put out, I think, 1 or 2 more episodes of the Outrider. I don't think I'm going to have enough time to record those this weekend, but I think what I'm going to end up doing for that, because I want to get the last of those episodes done, I'm probably going to end up recording it during the week at some point, so I can just get it out and be finished with it, and then move on to another small build. But yeah, no, that's something I want to do going forward. And then also, we've got Arc Ascension that just came out. I'm going to be putting videos out on that in the future. Doing build tutorials. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff that I've got coming up for you guys in the near future. So definitely stick with me if you enjoy building. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff that we'll be jumping into. But for the immediate future, we are focusing on Voyager. Still have a lot of work to get done on her before we can consider her finished. Alright. So now I've gone back in, and I'm trying to remember. Okay, so I see what I did here. I added another row up top, and now we're going to be closing that in, going straight across. This very top row right here. If I'm not mistaken, I think this row right here is what we had before. If it is, don't hold it against me. I could be wrong, though. I'd have to go back and double check. But the top row that we're filling in is off of this first row right here. So this way we don't have any confusion. And then we're going to close that in for top, bottom, left, and right. Now we've got our top and bottom in. We're really going to try to start focusing on closing this thing in and then getting in some details. Now what I'm doing right now at this point in the tutorial, I'm going back and I'm looking at my reference material. So I've got my pictures up of Voyager, I've got my 3D model up that I searched on Google, and I'm looking at the back end of the engines, and I'm comparing to where those stop compared to the back end of the ship. This is super vital when you're doing your proportions like this. So I always say having the reference to go off of is ultimately going to help you to make your build look that much better. And this is what I do. I look at my reference material and I gauge how shapes look, and I compare them to other areas of the ship. And this tells me more or less my proportions, if I have to make something bigger or if I have to make something smaller, based on how that area compares to other areas on the ship, and then comparing that to the reference material, if that makes sense. So as an example, we're going to compare our engines to how they look on the reference material, and we can compare them to in proportion to the very middle. So the pylons, the shuttle bay area, we're going to look at that. We're going to see where it stops on the reference material. This is your gauge and what we're looking at to see what we need to do. When you start to do this, it's going to start to become a little bit easier to guide you in the direction that you have to go off of. This is why I can't stress it enough. Having that reference material to go off of is just super, super helpful. Because, I mean, I consider myself like I have a somewhat photographic memory. I can remember some things, not in like super, super detail, but in detail enough that I can remember a lot of it. But still, with that being said, if I really want to get a full level of detail out of something, just having that reference material to look at is just, it's going to save you some time basically from just spinning your tires. You know what I mean? So definitely take advantage of that. And just don't be afraid to experiment and try out new things. If I wasn't willing to experiment, this build would not be coming out the way that it's coming out. And I'm not going to say that it's perfect. This build is far from perfect. And there's going to be mistakes here and there. There's going to be some stuff that we have to tweak. Like I said, just stick it out with me. Wait until we get to the end of the tutorial, because if you're happy with how Voyager looked in that tour episode, we are getting there one episode at a time. But just remember that there's only so much that I can do with you guys every episode, unless I'm doing like a 3 or 4 hour episode, and I'm really trying to stay within that, within 25 minutes or less. That's really my goal, and I really, if possible, I want to try to stay under 20 minutes where I can, but 25 is really the max that I want to go per episode. Because even with that being said, it's crazy, because even going out to 20 minutes, I still feel like my tutorials are still way too long. But the way that I do them, building them out live like this, it's almost virtually impossible for me to speed that process up, if that makes sense, unless I went into just a completely different format as far as how I build these ships out. And look, that could be something that might happen in the future, but I think right now, the way that I'm going with it, I think the tutorials are working. It just takes a little bit of time to get through it. And there's not really all that much I can do about it, because I think for me, I would rather take my time with this and give you guys that platter of information to go off of, rather than doing it the other way that I've seen people doing it, where they do like more or less like a quick build and you see it in fast forward, and like, yeah, some people, like, you can pick up some of that, but there's a lot of steps that you can miss in between, and the talking points, and talking about why you're making those changes or why you're doing what you're doing. These are all imperative steps to help, get you just on that mindset of where I'm at. So that's why I said, like, it's hard describing what you're doing. It can be very difficult to explain to somebody why you're making the decisions that you make. So I really do try my best just to go over my whole process with you guys, because my hope is that as you're going through this tutorial with me, that hopefully some of this is rubbing off and you're learning a thing or two. Because I will admit, I'm not the best teacher in the world, but I'm trying just to go over everything that I can. So with that being said, if there's something that you feel that I didn't go into detail on in this episode or during the course of this tutorial, you have questions, drop a comment below. I'll try to help you out if I can. As long as you're cool, I don't have any problems with that. I will take the time to help you. Really, the only times that I have issues and I'll just not respond to people is when they're not so nice and they feel that they can be mean, but at the same time they're entitled to get an answer from me. If that's what somebody's going to do, I'm just going to let you know ahead of time. I'm not even going to answer you. So just take that for what it is. It's like they always say, you attract more bees with honey than you do vinegar, and that's just kind of my attitude on things. So if you need help, just bear in mind, I'm a person just like you guys. Everybody makes mistakes. It happens. It's not the end of the world. Nobody's perfect. You know what I mean? But again, this is why I have all these rules in place and why I make the decisions that I do make, because I have these in place to try to prevent myself from making mistakes, because I myself am acknowledging that I'm not perfect. You know what I mean? So just embrace that. Like, just don't hold yourself to that super high standard, especially when it's like Minecraft, because for me, what I do with this is a relaxing exercise. That's literally just the main purpose on why I'm doing this is just to kick back, relax, take my mind off stuff for a little while. I love that about Minecraft because you really have to get focused on what you're doing, otherwise you can make a lot of mistakes, and that ends up being very therapeutic because you don't really have time to think about anything else other than what you're doing when you're building. And then before you know it, you look at the clock and you're like, oh yeah, like, you know, it's cool, like I've been building on here for like the past hour and a half. Might want to, you know, get something to eat, and you look at the clock and it's been 4.5 hours. So if you're just watching these videos and you're not building, and you're finding yourself in a situation, life, work, whatever, things might be just getting a little bit too stressed out for you, try this hobby out. Might surprise yourself as far as just how relaxing it truly is. And not only relaxing, but just the satisfaction that you get once the project has been completed. This is why, like, some people would, like, they're asking me questions, they're getting stuck, and like I'm looking at the pictures that they're sending me, and it's like, and I'm just going to tell you guys ahead of time, like, don't sell yourself short, because even with me showing you how to do this stuff, like, if you're able to get to this point and you're not sure what to do, you're selling yourself short, because at the end of the day, these are not easy ships to build, even with the tutorial. There could be something that I missed, or maybe just somebody learns differently. There could be a whole slew of reasons on maybe why it's not coming out the way that you want it to. But if you're not a bad builder and you're able to problem solve a little bit, and I think that's really the main thing that I talk to a lot of people on here, is that they're not willing to problem solve the issue, and that they run into a mistake or an error, whether it's an error that I made during the explaining process or just when they were building it. But regardless, like, they end up freaking out and they're like, I don't know what to do. And I mean, this is why I say, like, I can only go over my experience as far as what I do when stuff like this happens. This is why I say, like, if you're in a situation you don't know what to do, you don't know how to fix it, walk away from it for a little while. There's nothing wrong with it. If anything, it's going to help you out in the long run, because you're taking a break from working on it, and for two, you're giving yourself a chance to recharge and come at it with a set of fresh eyes at a later date. This is why I say having other builds to work on, so this way you're not getting frustrated on one build. Just, you know, if you're having trouble, just take a break from it. Voyager's not going anywhere. And there's nothing that says that you can't. You know, you can do this in whatever order that you want to. I mean, even right now where I'm at, I've got my Enterprise D that I'm building, the Excelsior 2 class, and the Enterprise A 2.0, and I'm building them all at the same time. I hop between one build to the next, and I work on it until I either get bored or frustrated, or I'm not sure what to do, and I pop back and forth. Just that in itself is just super, super helpful. Especially if you're trying to get a lot done in Minecraft. Having those extra projects to go in between can be very helpful, because if I didn't, basically what would be happening is that I just wouldn't be playing Minecraft. I would just hop off. You know what I mean? So that's definitely something to maybe consider and check out, you know, if you want to get more done in Minecraft, having those extra builds. I definitely cannot recommend it enough. It's crazy looking at the Enterprise D, seeing how she looks at that point. The saucer's not even done. I'm a lot further along in the actual build process than what you see in this episode, because this was recorded quite a long time ago. Now, with that being said, like, even the Enterprise D, I still have a lot of work to do, because I've only just completed episode 60 out of like the 180 episodes that I have to go through. But with that being said, I actually haven't worked on the Enterprise D in a little while. I've been taking a break on that. I've been taking just a slight break from playing Minecraft in general, because there's been a couple of games that came out in between now and then. Ark Ascension's out, and the new RoboCop Rogue City. And those of you that know me know that I'm a huge nerd, so I love all that stuff. So last weekend. That's why I wasn't able to get any videos out. I just had some stuff going on. Then when I was home, I was all over Arc Ascension, and I didn't have enough time to record any episodes. But there's shouldn't be too many more breaks with as far as putting out episodes for Voyager. I'm really going to try until the end of the year not to have any gaps. Well, no, there's going to be 2 points that I won't have any videos out. The first week of December I won't have any videos out because I'll be going on vacation. We'll see. I might actually try to get them done before I go. We'll see. And then maybe Christmas break. But other than that, I'm not planning to have any more interruptions, and it depends. I'll have to see how it plays out. I might end up trying to get those videos done beforehand just so I could still have the content out. But if I do, those will be the only other dates that I'm planning on not having any videos out, possibly, but we'll see. Man, we are rocking and rolling here. If you guys are like me, like, this is just super satisfying, and I'm getting excited. I can't help it because our ship is slowly but surely starting to get more and more complete. We're basically right at the point where pretty much our shell is done, more or less. We still have some stuff that we need to close in on the engines, and we have to close in the shelf that the bridge is sitting on, and then we have to build the bridge. Once that has been completed, the only other thing that we're going to have to do on the exterior is reworking the top side of the saucer section that sits in front of the bridge. And then we're actually going to be done with the shape of the exterior, and at that point it'll just be detail. Because it doesn't look like it right now, but like we haven't even begun on detailing the ship at all. I mean, at the same time, there's not going to be a ton of detail with Voyager, believe it or not. Because when you look at Voyager, she doesn't have a ton of detail to begin with. I'm not going to lie, that was something that I kind of sat on for a little bit, trying to figure out how I was going to detail her, because I noticed that she really just didn't have that much. So what I ended up doing was what I usually do anytime I'm in a situation like this. Like the Enterprise D, for example, was pretty much spot on the same exact scenario. Did not have a lot of exterior detailing. And you'd be surprised, believe it or not, like just looking at different sources of reference. And you just kind of have to broaden your scope a little bit from just looking at screenshots from the show or movie, and maybe open yourself up to models and toys. Because and it sounds like a stupid idea, but you would be surprised what you can find online. You might find either a model that somebody built and hand painted, or maybe a toy that was released and it has just that bit of detail that you were looking for, and it's just still enough where it fits in how Voyager looks, but it just gives you that extra bit of flair. At one point, people are going to get tired of me saying, you know, I don't want to hear you talk about reference material anymore, but I'm telling you, the more you have, the better off you're going to be in the long run. So right now we're not really doing anything too fancy. We're just closing in what we got. And I'm going to continue that on. I'm going to keep closing in what we have, and then when we get into episode 41, we will pick up on the next steps. But I think that's going to wrap it up for me today. I just want to thank you all again for tuning in today's episode, and if you did enjoy this content, please help me out. Hit that like and subscribe button. Drop a comment below. Those analytics really help out my channel as far as helping it to grow, and the more watches, likes, and comments that I get, the better off my channel is going to be. So if you want to help my channel out, if you can do that for me, I would greatly appreciate it. And with that being said, if you have any comments regarding today's episode, drop a comment below. Definitely love hearing from anybody. Any builds you want to see, drop your comments below in Discord. But yeah, I think that's going to do it. And I hope everybody has a happy and safe week. And I'll catch you in the next episode. And of course, what did you make in Minecraft today? Post your pictures in Discord so this way we can all see them.